Morning, everybody. Welcome to another one of our virtual Inside Scoop series. Today, we're welcoming DRPA Chairwoman Parker, as well as Chief Engineer Mike Venuto. Thank all of you for attending. Thank you so much for being here and jumping into our virtual events. We live in a strange time, but you guys are making it much more normal. So thank you to all of you. I just wanted to real briefly introduce, I'm Chris Hartman with the Alliance for Action, and wanted to just a couple of quick techie things as we go through the morning here. So many people have used this virtual platform today. There's a couple folks that haven't, so I wanted to make sure you're comfortable with it. First off, myself, Bill Healy, Lynn Swalje, and Penny Grasso from the Alliance staff, we will be here the entire time. So do not hesitate to send in a chat message. If you have a problem with your video, your audio, something like that, please do not hesitate. Type it into the chat, and we will send you a private chat back, and we'll work out any issues. 9 times out of 10, refreshing your screen, leaving the room, coming back into the room, that usually solves your issues. However, if you have something more serious, we're happy to help. Hopefully, we will get to a point a little bit later in the program where we can have a bit of a Q&A, and our president will be speaking with the DRPA folks, and we'll hopefully be able to have a question and answer session. And we can bring you up on stage so that way you can ask your question, and we can turn your camera and your microphones off. Please type your questions into the Q&A. So the chat should be for messages between one another, for anything to the staff, and questions to the DRPA staff should go into the Q&A. That way we can see your question, and then we can bring you up so you can have a conversation with them. We have important information about our sponsors. That's in the chat section. And of course, the registration list, so you can see who your fellow attendees are, is also in the chat section as well. And I will resend those in just a couple of moments. So that's enough out of me. We'll get the program kicked off. Let me welcome the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action, Jerry Keenan.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, and thank you for everyone being here today. We really have a terrific program, and why not? The Delaware River Port Authority over the years has been one of the region's most important economic stimulators, and that is only going to grow now. We hear more money coming from Washington, particularly in the stimulus funds, so it's going to be a great economic impact for the entire region throughout the near and long-term future. So it's great news. Before we get started, I would like to point out that we also have, besides a star-studded cast of speakers today, we also have in our audience John Hanson, who is the CEO of the Delaware River Port Authority and also the president of PATCO. So it's terrific. We have several people from the DRPA staff here today, and I'm really glad everyone could join us. So thanks again for that. But let me say thank you to our sponsors. We'll start with the sponsors, and we'll start with AECOM. Imagine it delivered. Armand Corporation. Delivering your vision is our main focus. Carrion is a WBE, SBE, DBE firm specializing in program and project management, construction management, consulting, and data analytics, providing services for everything from concept to closeout. GPI, a nationally recognized engineering firm that has been working to better our communities by providing high-quality engineering and construction services for over 50 years. Infinite Consulting Corporation, your success is our success. Together, we are safely building tomorrow. M&J Engineering, innovative and state-of-the-art solutions. The NIOC Group, proven by the past, positioned for the future. For over 20 years, we've built a strong foundation of talent and have risen to deliver design and construction solutions for our clients. Parsons, our New York, New Jersey professionals work every day to transform the landscape and improve mobility in the region. PSE&G, we make things work for you. And Raymond James Public Finance, helping raise capital to fund New Jersey's infrastructure needs. Well, we're going to get started with our program, but I want to bring in a very special person to the Alliance for Action. Amanda Del Bene is she's the vice chair of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. And a little story, I became president of the Alliance for Action in October. And one of the first few calls I made was immediately to Amanda. Amanda had been on the Alliance for Action board for many, many years and was our treasurer. When I became president, I reached out to Amanda and asked her if I could move her up to make her our vice chair, and she was glad to do it. So she's a terrific person. She's also the co-chair of the Inside Scoop series, and in her real life, she is the managing director of Raymond James Public Finance. But Amanda has always been a great friend, a great person to work with, and just a great person. With that, I couldn't be happier to have you here with us, Amanda, and the floor is yours. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Jerry. I'm really pleased to be here this morning as well. I feel like I have the great pleasure this morning to introduce the Honorable Sherelle Parker, Philadelphia City Council Majority Leader and 9th District Councilwoman, who became the first woman elected to lead the Delaware River Port Authority's 16-member Board of Commissioners. As a bi-state agency, that board comprises 8 commissioners, each from Pennsylvania and New Jersey. In her role as chairwoman, she will oversee the agency's annual operating budget, 5-year capital budget. Those of you who have heard me on here before, you know how much I like a 5-year capital plan, and almost 900 member workforce. Chairwoman Parker is no stranger to transportation and infrastructure needs. One of her key legislative efforts during her tenure as a state legislator was championing the Act 89, Pennsylvania's historic transportation bill, to invest $2.3 billion into the state's aging roads, bridges, and transportation infrastructure. She has dedicated her life to serving the city of Philadelphia, serving as a high school English teacher, senior policy advisor for the City Council of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania State Representative, and as 9th District Councilwoman and Majority Leader for the City of Philadelphia. Chairwoman Parker has distinguished herself as an advocate for working families, creating initiatives and legislation to support job creation, sustainability, and economic development. As a leader whose lifelong career mission has been to bridge the divide between the haves and the have-nots, taking the helm of the region's bridge authority is timely, appropriate, and fitting. Chairwoman Parker, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you so very much, Amanda, for that introduction, and to Jerry and Chris. Now, listen, to those of you who are in the audience, you need to know we just looked up the date, and I think it was February the 17th that my appointment actually took place, and I was elected chair by my fellow commissioners on the DRPA. So when I heard about this group called the New Jersey Alliance for Action, I said, let me find out who these people are. And as I did my homework to understand who you were, all of the corporate, labor, professional, academic, government leaders who are a part of this alliance and trying to improve the New Jersey economy through capital construction and infrastructure investment, I want to say a wholehearted thank you to you. I got even more excited when I found out who you are. And just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the DRPA for recognizing the Ben Franklin Bridge Suspension Span Rehab Project with the New Jersey Leading Infrastructure Project Award. Again, on behalf of the DRPA, we appreciate you. I also appreciated you all just noting for the record that DRPA is invaluable to our region, as it connects our essential workers to their place of work and beyond. And you all know it's been a really difficult year for us, and COVID has had a significant impact on bridge revenue and PATCO ridership. Bridge revenue is approximately 80% of pre-COVID revenue. PATCO ridership is at approximately 20% of pre-COVID ridership. However, we are grateful to our federal government. Thank you to the Biden administration for the support that it provided to us. We are also thoroughly excited about the infrastructure bill that's being worked on right now. And so we're really excited about that. And we know that it will help to keep our regional economy not just alive, but thriving. And in the midst of all of this, let me also note that I'm proud to note for the record that we did do an unprecedented amount of capital work in 2020, totaling close to $200 million. And these projects and investments are slated to continue into 2021, and you are going to learn a whole lot more. Now, I am going to introduce the man who makes it all happen for us. Now, when I looked again at who makes up this alliance, I said these are the best and the brightest in New Jersey. And listen, don't you all, any of you, think that you're ever going to take our bright and shining star, Michael Venuto, away from us. We love you, Mike. We thank you to John Hanson, Tony Brown, Jim White, Maria, Ray Santarelli, and to our Mike Venuto. The reason why the DRPA can be as successful as it has been, it's a result of your resilience, of your leadership. We thank you, and I'm proud to work with this very strong and mighty and capable team. And Mike Venuto, I want you to know I've never seen anyone who loves what they do as much as you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give a virtual round of applause to our chief engineer. And now I'm amongst his greatest fan club. Give it up for our Venuto.
Wow. Thank you very much, Chairwoman Parker. That was an awesome introduction. I really appreciate the kind words. Thank you also for your continued support of our capital program, as we continue to keep our assets safe, serviceable, and secure. So it's an honor to be part of your team and to be able to, as you said, to work on some of these great structures, keeping the economy moving in our region. So thank you very much. Thank you also, Jerry, Lynn, Penny, Chris, for the opportunity to be here today. I'm trying to share my screen. Just give me 1 second here. Chris, you may have to pull up the presentation. It's not letting me share. It's not letting me share.
No problem.
Yeah, pull that up. So as I go. So yeah, thank you, Jerry, Lynn, Penny, Chris, for the opportunity to be here. We always appreciate our partnership with the New Jersey Alliance, with the awards and coming to the events and being able to share what we're doing, and of course the continued support from the New Jersey Alliance membership. Right, all the consultants and contractors all continue to be, and support staff all continue to be interested in our project, and that's what makes us all successful together. So we can go to the next slide, Chris. So as you heard somewhat of an overview of where we were with traffic, where we were pre-COVID, where we are now. It's important to note that through all of the pandemic last year, we kept all of our projects going. We made a strategic decision very early on that we were going to continue to work, obviously, in a safe manner. Contractors and consultants all had their own safety programs in place, and we continued to work on all of our projects through the pandemic very safely, and we were very successful doing it. We were able to advance some of our work, right, due to less traffic, less lane closures and track outages and things like that. So we had, as Chairwoman Parker said, we had a great year last year as far as getting a significant amount of work done. We are at a very aggressive time in our history, completing nearly $200 million last year. And some of those are very big projects, and all of them are very big projects, and we're going to continue that through 2021. So just a quick idea of how we're operating here at the DRPA in PACO. We, at the bridge facilities, we did, like every other organization, you go to a skeleton crew early on when the numbers were high with COVID, and as it progressed and as we learned more and as we got our workplace ready, around summertime we were back in full swing at bridge operations in PACO. Our administrative staff that works at One Port Center are still working part remotely. So to the extent you can be efficient at your job and work from home, that is permissible. But to the extent you need to be in the office or be at job sites, those folks are coming to the office. So I could tell you in the engineering department, we probably have about 40 to 60% on any one day of our engineers coming into either the job site or to the office, right? Our office is ready, right, and equipped for a safe return to the workplace. We spent, as tasked by the CEO, developed a task force, right, to write our plan, a return to the workplace plan that we spent countless hours putting together. That went into full effect, and through that plan and the best practices we've learned and studied, we readied our workplace with the proper PPE, plexiglass, floor cues, signs, safety supplies, cleaning supplies, all those type of things. So our workplace has been readied, and people are returning to a mix of the workplace and remotely. We also have a tracking portal to keep all of our employees up to date. So we have put the latest information up there from the national or federal and state levels, as well as what we learn internally. That's always readily available. We have a dedicated portal, as well as a tracker of our number of employees that either have contracted or have been quarantined. We keep our employees up to date as we go along. All right, thanks, Chris. Next slide. So our capital program. So I always like to talk about where we are for this year, and then what our 5-year plan. As Amanda said, we look at this 5-year program. I believe it's something that her and I even talked about the last time I was live with your group. So we budget year to year, but we also look at that rolling 5-year plan. So we start planning our budget in summertime, and then we work to narrow that down as we come to a final presentation to our operations and maintenance committee, our finance committee, and ultimately our board for approval for the following year's budget. So we get a number of requests throughout our operations group. We pull the information from our biennial inspections, from our own internal inspections, from looking at our technology needs. And then we collaborate amongst all parts of the organization to then come up with a budget that we believe is feasible and reasonable to accomplish, right, over the next year. And then we look at that 5-year plan. So we know we can only have so many track outages. We know we can only have so many lane closures. We know we have a throughput through our own organization. And then we use that to prioritize projects to then come up with our 5-year plan. Know that when you see this budget for 2021 or the 5-year plan, it's net of federal funds. So we get approximately, I'm going to say, $12 to $15 million in federal funding outside of a COVID year, but typically we get about $12 to $15 million of federal funding, mostly utilized on security or PACO projects, right? And this budget is net of those funds, so our actual spending is somewhat more than what you see in our budget here. At this time, this was our plan that we passed in November of 2020. Again, it shows an aggressive time. We have a major capital projects, which I'm going to talk about here going forward, some of our real big ones. We have some of the biggest, our single biggest project that we've ever undertaken, the suspension span rehab, which as Chairwoman Parker, thank New Jersey Alliance for recognizing the impacts of that project. That's part of that. It's a $200 million project. So we have a lot of big projects that are underway, but only the new projects that we're starting are really focusing on just priority projects. So as I mentioned, last year, we continued with all of our construction, but we also continued with all of our designs through 2020. So any project that was currently in design, we kept it going. Now, as we finished those designs towards the summer and fall, we didn't necessarily put those out for construction. We do have a list of shovel-ready projects. And as on the federal level, as infrastructure bills are talked about, we're going to be in a position to put ourselves in line to gain any of that federal funding or infrastructure bill. And we have projects that we can quickly advance should the funding become available. But at this point, we're focused on mainly on our priority projects. As I mentioned, keeping our bridges safe, secure, and serviceable. 2022 will also be, we were coming off of 2020 as a biennial year. And I know the years just roll by fast. We're making our preparations now for our 2022 biennials. So that is also part of the work upcoming for 2022. What I thought I would do, next slide, Chris. So what I thought I would do is talk about some of the big projects that we have ongoing right now, of interest to the profession, the engineering profession, the contractor community, and again, that are interesting to all the folks that use our bridges on a daily basis and PACO on a daily basis to see some of the major things that we're doing. Obviously, everyone knows these assets, right, have to last forever, and that's how we treat them, right? So we're continually investing in to upgrade and maintain and improve the facilities on a continual basis. So this is a project, the Ben Franklin Bridge suspension span, by a couple $100,000. It is our biggest project that we've ever undertaken. So we started, 2019 was an interesting year. So we went through and bid a number of projects in 2019 so we can capitalize on the full construction season of 2020. So in previous years, we may have seen the budget pass. We advertised projects for bid in January, February, and usually we're out there in construction for in the summertime for that year. In 19, we knew we had a number of big projects ready to go, and we put out bids for some of these projects I'm going to show you right now, particularly this one. So we got through our board approval process, our contracting process, our review period, our contracting process, the submittal process. So come 2020, we were ready to go. And this contractor mobilized right in February of 2020. And like I said, we kept going through 2021. The project is just the construction project alone is over $194 million, which superseded our previous biggest project ever of PACO car overhaul at just over $194 million as well. So this superseded by a couple $100,000. We're working on the north side first. We're going to dehumidify. The main crux of the project was to dehumidify the main cable. And then, of course, from that, that was the linchpin of the project. But we knew we had a significant amount of work to do as the bridge is aging. We're coming up on 100 years for the Ben Franklin Bridge, and much of the structure is original. So we also undertook a major structural steel rehabilitation project. And while we're doing that, we're going to maintenance paint the suspension span. So we de-leaded and repainted the bridge over 5 phases in the late 1990s and early 2000s. And now it's time for another overcoat. So we're doing maintenance painting, steel repairs, main cable dehumidification, redoing the pedestrian walkways. So for those that aren't familiar with the Ben Franklin Bridge, it's unique in the fact that it has 3 modes of transportation. So aside from the roadway with cars and trucks and buses, we have the pedestrian walkway, which we get significant amount of use from walkers, runners, joggers, and bikers that utilize that pedestrian walkway. And then we also have the PACO trains that go across on the outsides of the bridge, right? So it's a continual maintenance effort, as I talked about. We spent years ago another project, I believe that was even recognized by New Jersey Alliance, where we redid the tracks across the Ben Franklin Bridge for approximately $100 million. Redid those entire tracks, rail, ties, structure, all the structure, some of the structure, repainted it for a project many years ago. So this bridge is in very good condition at this point. While we have access, right, we're having sort of unprecedented access underneath the bridge with that platform under there, with platforms on the cable. We have the north walkway closed at this point. So we're gonna the bridge. Next slide, Chris. The bridge has also a decorative lighting system, which I'll talk about. So we're going to be revamping that. It's an old antiquated system. And we also are going to redo the north walkway. Currently on the north walkway, there's a narrow cattle chute part. Because we're going to be closing the south walkway as we do construction, we're going to go back to its original width on the north walkway for that couple 100 feet on the Camden side to make the north walkway more accessible and easier to use. So we combined all that to get to get one project to be able to take advantage of less mobilizations, coordination amongst contractors to consolidate our overall schedule, right? If we did those projects sequentially, we'd have more of a significant time, plus the cost of the mobilization and demobilization. Now with one general contract, we're able to compress the schedule, maximize our cost savings, and then of course get the projects done or get work done in many aspects of the bridge all at one time. So this is a cool picture to show. I like to share, wrapping of the main cable. So it's part of the dehumidification process, putting a new wrapping around the cable, and then once we get it has to be airtight. As we'll pump that dry air into the main cable, ultimately to reduce the humidity to below 40%, right, to inhibit any rusting of those over 18,600 wires that make up that main cable. So we've been this is our mock-up in the yard where crews practiced wrapping that cable. Clearly wouldn't want to be on the bridge doing it for the first time, right? So the crews practiced in here, tested it, made sure we had the right overlap, make sure it was airtight, we make sure we had it down pat before we actually brought it up on the bridge. The wrapping part is paused now. I believe we're going to get started again in April to continue with the wrapping. But that is very specialized and unique work, especially doing it at that heights and at that angle of the cable. It's amazing what people can do. It's amazing what the crews are able to accomplish out there in completing these major capital investment projects. Next slide, Chris. So a couple more interesting shots, like I said. So the platform on the top left, we have our platform construction. That's when it first started, but it's currently under the entire bridge. So not only will it be a work platform for the steel repairs, but it'll also be the containment for the painting system as we paint the bridge. So we have some unique structural repairs under wind bracing, the wind locks, lattice bracing, all those type of things are as we're doing as we go along there underneath the bridge. You see the top right and the bottom right, and then the bottom left. So the traveler, that is our travel. That's a permanent travel that'll take you, underneath the suspension span. It's locked in place now, as we have the platform up. But that is a unique way we're able to maintain the bridge, and I always think it's a interesting picture to show. Unique way to maintain the bridge as we do it from an internal standpoint as well. All right, next slide, Chris. So as I mentioned, the lighting on the bridge. So we have a decorative lighting system. We all see the Ben Franklin Bridge is an iconic structure. It gets play on the news sites when there's big events in Philadelphia. You see pictures of it from the bridge, right? It's very well lit. Interestingly enough, we get requests to light this bridge year round, right? So not only do we have the uplighting that you see sort of on the left side, and even in existing condition, but we have different color lights where we light the bridge, different colors for different events. Like, so maybe red for heart health. And we have requests that go through year round. Right now we have two systems that date back many years, and they are antiquated, difficult to get parts for. So with this project here, we're going to have a state-of-the-art LED light system that will be able to make basically infinite colors, color mixes on there, and of course all be computer controlled. We'll be able to do many more things than we were able to do with our old system, and we're excited that we will be able to continue that tradition of lighting the bridge. And how we had this work going on internally or with the construction is we're never having the bridge lighting down. So right now the north side is down, but we're still able to continue to the south side lit. And then when we flop side, the north side will be back up before we take the south side down. So we're never going to be without our decorative lighting system on the project. All right, next slide, Chris. So another big project that we started, again, similar to the Ben Franklin, where we went out to bid in late 19. So in 2020, the contractor was already out there ready to mobilize. And again, in February 2020, we were out there on the Walt Whitman Bridge. We are actually redoing this corridor, rehabilitating it from the toll plaza all the way out to Passyunk Avenue. So the Walt Whitman Bridge is unique in the amount of roadway that we own there. Excuse me. So we're giving this whole corridor facelift with this project. The construction cost is about $67 million. Then of course we have the CM out there as well working on this. We're doing everything from roadway to lighting, communications, electronic signage, the entire 76 corridor there in Philadelphia. Improvements to draining, pedestrian tunnels, new sign structures. In the top right-hand corner, you can see our existing sign structures. Those are nearing the end of their useful life, so we're going to go ahead and replace those. There are already a number of them that are replaced, and we're replacing them with the PennDOT standard. I actually drove through it this weekend. They all look very nice, and we're doing those with 20-minute intermittent shutdowns. And we're replacing the bridge gantries on the next slide, please, Chris. We're also throughout the project replacing the major on top of the bridge gantries going across the bridge. So when we did our deck rehabilitation project, it was a $140 million project many years ago, where we redecked the entire suspension span of the Walt Whitman Bridge. Unique project in and of itself, right? Literally took out every part of the bridge, the asphalt, the structure, or every part of each lane, right? The asphalt, the concrete, the structure below, the fairings, and then rebuilt it one lane at a time, right? We completed that job from early 2010-ish, 11, 12. But at that time, we replaced the gantries in the suspension span. However, the two approach spans had the original gantries, as you can see in that bottom middle picture. So with this project, we removed those old style gantries and we matched the suspension span, which is part of this corridor rehab project. We did these over overnight closures, 5-hour overnight closures that we did through 2020. And I'm happy to say we're done the new gantry installation, so we won't have any more closures of that bridge. We'll just have the 20-minute intermittent closures where we're able to do the sign structures along Route 76. Next slide, please. So another project, as I talked about, federal funding. We got significant amount of federal funding for the PACO installation of elevators in our remaining stations. So when we started this project, we had 6 PACO stations that did not have elevators at the time, right? So they were not fully ADA compliant. And with help from the federal government, through our FTA grant process, we secured some grant money to make the remaining stations that we had, the last 6, all ADA compliant with elevators. So Collingswood, Haddonfield, Ashland, Westmont, at this point, they're all complete, all full access, all the elevators are up, working. We had 2 complete in 2020, 2 complete previous to that. Go ahead, Chris, next slide, please. We continue, so we have new elevators from ground level up to the platform level, right? And of course, we made them look as an extension of the existing head houses and buildings, as if they were there right from the beginning, right? And get a lot of use, even in the communities that they're in. One of our grand openings with the ribbon cutting, the mayor came, was even happy to be part of our expanded investment in our stations. Next slide, Chris, please. So there's 2 stations left. So the last 2 are City Hall in Camden and 12th, 13th in Locust in Philadelphia. So these 2 stations, the other ones I mentioned all have a single elevator. These 2 stations are unique where we have 2 elevators. So we have an elevator. So both of these stations are underground. So we'll have an elevator from ground level to concourse, right? And a separate elevator that takes you from concourse down to the platform level. And that'll be in both locations. And as you can imagine, once we get under, these have been the 2 most challenging stations. And as you can imagine, once we get underground in areas that like this, we're uncovering some underground obstructions and things we may not have known that were there, given the history of those areas. But we're working through it diligently to get those projects, get those elevators open. And then at Camden, we'll also be adding another stairwell. So the rendering there on the right-hand side will show not only the new elevator, but a second stairwell to be able to access the City Hall station. Next slide, Chris. So another project that we are extremely excited about is our investment in solar energy generation. So we undertook a project to increase our sustainability, reduce our reliance, and reduce our carbon footprint, reduce our reliance on electric power. We undertook a project where we were going to install photoelectric cells at multiple DRPA and PACO sites to reduce our energy consumption. So we entered into a power purchase agreement. We went out for a competitive process through an RFP, and we ultimately entered into an agreement with a company called Sun Power through a power purchase agreement, where we're able to buy power at a fixed price for the next 20 years. But Sun Power is making the capital investment on our property to put up the solar canopies, and they're a mix of ground-mounted roof and canopies. So we're very far along in the project at this point as far as the construction is concerned. We use at DRPA and PACO approximately 40 megawatts of power. This solar system that we're installing with partnership with SunPower will produce approximately 22 megawatts of power. So just over half of our power usage at DRPA and PACO. And as you can imagine, PACO with the electrified third rail is a big user of power. We will produce over half of the DRPA and PACO's power once this system is up and running. So we have it at multiple sites. We have canopies at the Betsy Ross Bridge, our north bridge, at the Commodore Barry Bridge, our south bridge. We have them at One Port Center, our main office in Camden. And then we also have it at Ferry Avenue Station, Ashland Station, Woodcrest Station, and Lindenwold Station. Right? Anybody who's traveled the PACO line, have used the line, know that we have many big parking lots at those facilities, and we're taking advantage of that line or that area to put in these solar systems. Next slide, Chris. So right now, we're just about complete construction at the Betsy Ross, the Commodore Barry, One Port Center, Ashland. We're getting ready in the next few weeks to get into testing and where we're going to be able to start flowing some electrons here in the very near future, working out some final commercial issues with SunPower. We're moving along both at Ferry Avenue and Lindenwold. They're probably about 80% complete construction. And then Woodcrest, we just started that construction probably around 2 weeks ago. So just thought share some interesting pictures of the solar arrays. So that the left picture, I believe, is Lindenwold. The center picture there is our One Port Center parking lot. I probably should update it because that was from a little while ago. But the parking lot now is all repaved, all restriped, all lit, and it's ready to go there at One Port Center. And then, like the shot on the right-hand side, that's the sun setting over the Ferry Avenue canopies. Next, Chris. Another, as you heard me talk about the elevators and the remaining stations, another investment we're making in PACO is our station enhancements. We're doing a station enhancement project at Lindenwold, Ferry Avenue, and Woodcrest, right? So the stations are original, and much of the construction is original. I still have the glass block, and we're going to update the aesthetics of these stations, more welcoming, right? More lit or better lit, landscaping, those type of things. You can see on the left-hand side that we have new entrance to the parking lots, more lit landscaping, new signage, right, including the PACO logo. This is about a $9.7 million project, but we're doing everything for curb and sidewalk repairs, parking lot repaving, handicap parking, landscaping, all around. And in the Woodcrest, we're doing, and in the next slide, Chris, in the stations themselves, lighting, ceilings, painting, windows, all those type of things. And then at platform level, you'll see windscreens with the PACO logo, advertising, column covers that were not there before at our platform, new windows up at our platform level. And it's tough to see, but if you kind of look at the left-hand photo right there, you'll even see some seating that was not there prior. So we're going to extend that sort of waiting area. We know that people like, again, pre-COVID, but we know that people liked to be inside in the cold and extreme cold and extreme hot, and there's not much room for that in our current setup. So we're expanding some of those head houses up top to allow for some seating as well. Next slide, Chris. All right, a project that we've probably seen a significant amount of press over the last year or so is Franklin Square. We are excited. There's a station under Franklin Square that's been enclosed since the late 70s, and we're excited to finally be in a position where we're going to be able to reopen that station for public use. So we've undertaken, again, a project that we've received some federal funding for. We got over $12 million in a build grant, and we've gotten some subsequent funding through the FTA to ultimately fund reopening our station there in Franklin Square. So just as an aerial view, that is Franklin Square off the Ben Franklin Bridge. The white sort of lines you see coming through the center of the screen there are the tracks. So you see where we have them labeled track 1 and track 2 coming off the Ben Franklin Bridge, into the tunnel system underneath Franklin Square. In that bottom left-hand corner, you'll see that's our new proposed head house. So, and I'll show a picture of what it used to look like and what the new one will look like in the next slide. Some of the challenges we face. So, obviously working in an active park there. One more slide back just for 1 second, Chris. But one of the big challenges we face, if you can see on that bottom right-hand picture, you'll see like a blue circle there right through the center of our escalator. There's a 36-inch water line that's been in there since the 20s, and is original to there. We're going to relocate that. It goes right through our escalator. But one of the benefits of this entire project that not only for us but for the surrounding community is we're going to relocate that line. So what we're going to do is, you can see on the left picture that there's the blue line that kind of runs through Franklin Square, and then that yellow line there to the left. So we're going to take that entire water line. We're going to make our tie-ins, run the new water line in 7th Street, make our tie-ins, and then we're going to abandon that water line in place. So there'll never be a chance for, we see what the damage that can be caused by water main breaks. I think there just was one in the city not a few weeks ago. We know the damage that can cause. So one of the ancillary benefits of this project, we're just going to relocate that out into the street. So that's one less thing that Franklin Square will have to be concerned with moving forward. There's a lot of development in there and a lot of use of that park. Okay, thanks, Chris. Next slide. So this is what Franklin Square. So the top left picture, we actually did have a station there when it was active, and we had that little head house there many years ago. Bottom left is what it looks like currently. So we don't have that house there obviously anymore, and you could look really close, you'll see on that concrete slab there's a little yellow hatch in that right hand side of that concrete slab. That's how we would access it if we go down there today. And it's very interesting to see. I have a shot I'll show you next of what it looks like there, but it really is a snapshot in time if you go down there. There's the sort of paint colors that you would have seen back in the 70s. There's a phone booth that you can, the phone's not there anymore, but there's a phone booth you literally can picture people walking up to back when we have those type of phone booths. So it's really the signage, really interesting to see the history down there in Franklin Square. Then of course the right side is our new proposed head house. Right, the project is fully designed at this point. We're working through some final issues of permitting and working with the city to iron out all the details, but we'll be out for construction probably this project towards the end of the year. We have an advertisement out right now for the construction monitoring services. We've done a lot through the design, worked very closely with Historic Philadelphia, Franklin Square, the Art Commission, and many other departments, the Water Department, many other departments of the city of Philadelphia, to make sure that we fit into the fabric of that neighborhood there. So you can see the design of it, right? All glass, so it doesn't take away from the nature of Franklin Square. I don't have all the pictures of it, but it has a green roof, right, to reduce our runoff. On the back of it has a section where vines would grow up. So if you grow up the back of the building, right? So if you look at it from Franklin Square, you still see that greenery. All the HVAC equipment that would be on the roof, all will be covered in metal clad to match the rest of the building, so you wouldn't see it. So we've done a lot to work to make that building you fit into and be part of that community there at Franklin Square. Next slide, Chris. So the top two pictures of what it looks like now down in Franklin Square, and of course our intent is to keep that historic look. So the bottom right is a rendering of how we'll look. Of course, we're going to be adding elevators and escalators and lighting and things like that. We're going to keep that tile, keep that look and colors down there. But if you look at the project and why there's a substantial design, of course, to get that ready. It'll be a substantial construction schedule, and what all went into it, because we get a lot. Well, it's been an active station. Right, but think about it's been closed for so long. So we have ADA improvement, platform repairs, structural steel repairs. The communications, fire, life safety, security. All those things had to be looked at. Right, we have camera systems, the electrical, mechanical, plumbing systems all have to be upgraded. We have lighting, elevators, fare gates. All of those are being included in this design, and it'll be a state-of-the-art station. Once we get this out to bid and constructed over the next couple of years. I'm really looking forward to the increased access for our current PACO passengers. We also believe that this will add more mobility into the city of Philadelphia, where we believe, and through conversations we've had and studies we've done, we believe there'll also be more inner city travel, right? So not necessarily people coming from Jersey into Franklin Square. There'll be that part, given the development in that area there, but there'll also be more inner city movement on PACO, which to all the new amenities and attractions down in that Franklin Square area. Next slide, please, Chris. I'll talk a little bit about a project that's been in the news a lot as we're continuing with the Glassboro-Camden line. So this is a project where we are acting as the project manager for New Jersey Transit. So we've been involved with the project from the initial feasibility study through alternatives analysis, and now just completing the environmental impact statement. Right. We're getting ready to working out some agreements with us, New Jersey Transit, and SJTA, South Jersey Transportation Authority. We're excited to be part of the next phases of this project, moving this project into the program management stage, a preliminary engineering stage, ultimately to what we believe now will be some kind of design, build, operate, maintain, finance structure to bring rail into southern New Jersey, right, and increase access and mobility, and basically expand the Philadelphia region down here into southern New Jersey. It's going to be through the alternatives analysis phase. It was determined that the best feasible and alternative would be to go from Camden to Glassboro, basically connecting Rutgers through all those towns to Rowan and Glassboro in the south. And the best alignment would have been, or was the most feasible alignment, and ridership-wise, was to go down the existing Conrail right-of-way. So we've been working with Conrail for many years now to come up with a preliminary or a conceptual design where we can study the environmental impacts to where we can coexist and both be successful along that right-of-way. So it'd be basically two different models, one from Camden to Woodbury, where there's less Conrail use on those tracks, and a different sort of model from Woodbury to Camden, a combination of single tracking, passing sidings, and shared use of the tracks. And all along the way, we're going to be making improvements to the existing Conrail right-of-way, existing Conrail tracks, so again, that we can both coexist, have a safe corridor, be 25-foot track centers, and provide for continued expansion of Conrail to the extent that they need it in the future. We're providing through this corridor ways for their future growth. Next slide, Chris, please. So just some shots of, it'll be a mix it'll be similar technology to the river line. So through the environmental study phase, we looked at the river line as our model. We have similar cars, similar platforms, the double-sided platforms in some areas, side platforms in others. And then, of course, shared use. We have dedicated track in some parts of the right-of-way solely for Conrail and solely for the GCL, and others will share tracks in later hours. And then, of course, Conrail will have access the same way they do with New Jersey Transit's River Line with moving their rail through night, right? So our plan would be that we'd be operating from about 5 a.m. to midnight. Next slide, Chris. All right, so some more of our upcoming work. So I talked about Franklin Square, that's out there. I talked about Franklin Square, that's out there, the GCL out there. We have some other stuff. We're just getting through our next phases of general engineering consulting services. They just passed the board. We're just getting through the veto period. So those that were interested in doing our general engineering services, we do have our list for the next 3 years, and we'll be contacting those successful firms. We have many of them. The GECs really help us to advance our capital program. We appreciate the support and collaboration from our entire engineering professional community that takes interest every day in our projects to help us be successful together. Right, so those contracts will be coming out very shortly, and then we're going to also set up introductory meetings to introduce each of the teams to our engineering staff. We're also going to be advertising here very shortly program management services. So these are supplemental of our staff. So there are some areas where we have a higher workload or we need certain expertise. So the difference, I look at it as the GECs have some kind of deliverable of plans and specifications. Program management services, same 3-year contracts, but they are basically an extension of our staff to help us areas that we need expertise or to increase our capacity as needed. Right, I mentioned earlier also that 2022 biennial inspections will be advertised here in just a few months, and we'll be planning to, we've really revamped our biennial inspection program the last couple of years, adding more underwater work, we added drone inspections, we added an interim inspection, we added presentations for not only to the engineering group, but to our operations group. It really proved to be a successful initiative, really getting all the folks who are working on those bridges on a daily basis, aside from your engineers and bridge operations as well as PACO operations, go over all the stuff that goes into the biennial, and just be more collaborative and communicative with our staff, and really proved beneficial here over the last year. Next slide, please, Chris. And then I'd like to share just the last couple of slides here before we get into the Q&A period. I'd like to share some of the things that we're doing, where we talk about, looking forward and innovating into the future. So, it's one thing to keep our, bridges in our safe, secure, and serviceable manner, and continue to maintain and upgrade them. But we're also looking at how we can always improve and how we can be better, right? Asset management program. We're undertaking a very aggressive asset management program, a 7-phase process. We're in the latter stages of the phasing right now, where we have gone through, right, and really looking at our assets coming up. Not that we never knew what our assets were, but to have them in one database, right? Identify all those and make sure we're consistent across all of our facilities. So we've done that as far as asset identification. We've looked at maintenance plans and how we maintain them. We look at how we're going to the age and the condition of them, right? And then we're going to use this data, right, to continue to improve our budgeting skills during our capital budget time, right? So we're not going to be looking at. It'll help us not to have to replace assets too soon or too late, right? And it's also given us a much more standard set of operating procedures and maintenance procedures across all of our facilities, where we're not relying upon, right? So it helps with our succession planning and every other part of our business. So we're not relying upon people's in-depth knowledge, as opposed to now we have more systems in place. And we're not even finished the project yet, and it's already proven us benefits that we've capitalized on or utilized in our 2020 capital program. I know it's going to give us greater benefits as we go forward. The other thing we did in 2020 was on-call contracting services. You've heard me mention on engineering services being on call, and many of you have been part of that program for many, many years. We started recently in on-call contracting services. And it's not to take place of any of our competitively bid projects. These are for smaller projects, less than $500,000, that we could do in-house, or quick hit projects. That's not to replace our existing staff. We're still doing just as much in-house work with our bridge staff and PACO staff as we've ever done, but these will supplement our own internal capabilities. So it may be that we don't have a certain piece of equipment and we'll need a contractor to do that. It may be that we just don't have the capacity to do it at this point, or supplement the existing capacity that we have. So these are new to the DRPA. We're just getting started with them. We're working with a model that was successful with the New Jersey DOT. Working with a company called Gordian, where we bid out we had a book of all prices for the type of work that we were considering, and then contractors bid a markup on that. And the lowest markup, of course, was the successful contractor. And we have 2 contractors, one on the north bridges and one on the south bridges. And as we advance this and learn how to use it most efficiently, in the future, I can see us even adding on-call services for PACO work. I mentioned in the biennial inspection about the use of drones. It's something we added this year. We developed a policy for drone use in and around our facilities, the bridges and PACO. And this year we did baseline flights. So we have it for the future. We're not replacing inspections. We're supplementing them, right? So we'll never replace the hands-on inspection that we do on a biennial basis, and even on the interim basis. We'll never do that. But we want to have, again, another tool, right? Another look at from different angles. And now we have baselines that we're doing. We're not done all of them for this year, but we have a baseline now. We're just going to continue to improve as technology improves, as we learn more as a profession. We'll continue to incorporate those into our biennial inspection program as necessary. One more slide, Chris. And I just thought some of this. We had a presentation on the drone flyover of the Betsy Ross Bridge, and I just thought I have read about and knew a little bit about what they do and why we would use them, but I didn't realize I learned a ton by watching that presentation. So I just thought I'd share some of it here about just the magnitude and size of the drones and the type of imagery that they can get. You can see the bearings there at the Betsy Ross and the rivets right there. I mean, how detailed that this technology is, and the things that we can do with it. Right, we did some side shots. We stayed away from being underneath the bridge, but I just thought the technology is great, and we're going to see how we can maximize its benefits, as we continue to keep our assets in a state of good repair. Next slide, Chris. So I'll leave it at that. I know I did a lot of talking here in a short period of time. I just wanted to thank all of you for attending today. We only can be successful on our projects because of all of the teamwork and collaboration we get from all of you who come to these events and participate on our projects. And we've had more and more folks interested in the work that we do at the DRPA and keeping our assets in a state of good repair. And it was great to see a number of you through the networking session. I do like this platform. It was great to see folks live that we haven't been able to interact with in person. So, and I just personally thank you for your interest in our projects, your collaboration as we go forward, and attending today's event. So with that, I'll take whatever questions anyone has, Jerry.
And if you do have a question, just please put it in the Q&A section or even the chat just to let us know. And we'll bring you up here to speak directly with Mike and Sherelle, the chairwoman of the DRPA. But before we do, I wanted Mike, drone technology is really interesting. And obviously drones are, well, first of all, before I start moving forward, I have to say, if I ever need a cheerleader, I'll never have a cheerleader as good as what you have in the chairwoman. She is terrific. It's a pleasure having her, and it must be great to have her in your corner. So, so she's really, really amazing and charming. So getting back to the drone technology, obviously we've lived without drones for all these years, but just on a personal level, you see what drones are able to achieve and what they're able to do. It's very interesting. What are you hoping on a professional level when you're doing your engineering and inspections and so on? What are you getting out of the drone technology that maybe you haven't gotten in the past?
Yeah. So, clearly with the flyover that we're getting, we haven't had that look ever, right? There's certain things that we know that we keep an eye on. Without getting all into the specifics, there are certain things that we keep an eye on the bridges that we know, from biennial inspection that may be harder to access, right? So we believe now that we have this baseline, right? So now we can look at that, and if we ever have to do it in an interim basis, the detail that they're getting, you can really see, any kind of movement of, let's say, an anchorage block, right? That could be shifting. We can see that even small amounts in the difference of the drone. So just to get the better look, to have that baseline, to have something we can build off of. And again, we did a basic scope for the drones this time, knowing that as we go into the future, as our knowledge increases, as technology increases, and as we see more uses with them, so now we'll look at it and say, oh, we should use it for this, and now we should use it for that. And we're also getting significant amount of feedback from our consultants, the biennial consultants, as well as the sub-consultants who did the drones, and say, you know what, here's what else we can do. And we're evaluating that to continue to make that program better as we go forward.
It's terrific. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to go a long way toward making the projects move forward more efficiently and more safely. So congratulations on taking advantage of that new technology. The big thing I wanted to speak about is the Glassboro-Camden light rail line. Now, look, this is a project that is long overdue. It's going to inject about $2 billion or so into the local economy. It's going to increase safety and give people another option for getting to work or getting to school or whatever the case may be. And it's also going to ease traffic on Route 42. Now, I went to school down there and at Rowan University. I know the traffic on Route 42 is horrible, and it's actually recognized as one of the worst bottlenecks in New Jersey. So congratulations on moving forward and playing a leading role in developing that. We're moving on now to preliminary engineering and project management. Tell us more about that process. How is that going to roll out?
Yep. So thank you for the Alliance and Jerry for your personal support of that project. We know you've been an advocate for it, and we, like you, believe that expansion of public transportation, particularly light rail in Southern New Jersey, is necessary and is going to add tremendous value to, and as I said earlier, expand the South Jersey region and connect people to the places that they want and need to go, right? The cultural, recreational, educational, economic, and medical facilities, and it's basically expanding that Philadelphia region, right? Aside from connecting two major universities that continue to grow in our area here. So the next phase is, so we finished up the EIS about mid-February, right? We got that out. We publicized it on our website. We got it out in hard copy to municipalities, libraries, all those things. So just a quick shout out to our new website and our corporate communications team, led by Christina Maroney, who's actually, I believe, on this video or the presentation today. We have a brand new website that we rolled out about a week and a half ago on a Friday. On Friday, about a week and a half ago, and it's very much updated. It has all of our information. So if you want to stay up to date on the Glassboro Canyon line, that's the place to do it. Right? It shows where we have stations. It has all of our past reports of feasibility study, alternatives analysis. Has the EIS. Has all of our information of when we've been out to public, the boards and presentation materials we've used during those times. So I'd encourage you to visit the website, but also feel free to visit. We have our own LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm sorry, I'm putting a bit of a commercial to answer your question here. Facebook, Instagram, we have it all. The GCL line has its own pages, so feel free to like us and be on there. And basically, that's the best way to keep the most up to date on the GCL line.
No, I laughed when you said that, but that's exactly what we're looking for. The website, what is that website? Because people are interested. They want to learn more.
Yep. And thank you to whoever just put it in the general chat. I appreciate.
Okay, there it is.
Yep, GlassboroCanyonLine.com. So thank you for putting that out there.
And no surprise, that's Chris Hartman, our own Chris Hartman, jumping on it and taking care of it. And once again, Chris is being terrific. Now, look, we had over 100 people register to be here today. The DRPA has been putting out a substantial amount of work for a long time, but this GCL is really, I would think that's the big game in town these days. So I would think a lot of people in this room today are interested in working on that project. How can they help this project move forward? I mean, I know we're going to have some naysayers that say the project should not go through. I put some testimony in recently, and I also sent out a bottom line report in favor of the program. And I did receive one person who not necessarily was against the project, but just questioned some of my facts. So how can people in this room help this project move forward?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And we appreciate, again, your support and being out there. And look, we've been out on the road, right? We've been we went to Pittman City Council. We went to Woodbury just in the past few weeks. We talked to the Rowan student government body. We're going to go to Mantua, and we've been out there talking about this project, putting out, as you said, people question your facts, and we've been putting out there, the factual information about the project, and how we see it and the benefits of increasing rail service, particularly light rail service in Southern New Jersey. So the support that this group can give, definitely being out, sharing the message of the importance of rail, increased transportation, increased public transportation in Southern New Jersey, the benefits of it, liking our and sharing our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn posts. As and showing general support for the project. We know that, as you said, there are people out there who are not in support of it, but our job is to continue to share the information, share the benefits, and also dispel some of the stuff out there that may not be grounded in the facts, right? So,
yeah, sure, for sure.
No way to say, and that's what we're out there doing, and we're excited to move forward with it, right? We're entering into an agreement here shortly with South Jersey Transportation Authority, New Jersey Transit, and in those next phases, as you say, will be to get out what we're calling at this point the Program Management Office and engineering contract to start moving this project forward.
Now, we are running out of time, so if you do have a question, please put it in the chat or the question and answer section of the program, and we'll ask it. But we are running out of time. I did have one more question. We're hearing information coming out of Washington all the time now about President Biden's infrastructure plan and his COVID stimulus plan. I understand there are some significant dollars coming to specifically the DRPA. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, what you're receiving and what you're planning to use those dollars for?
Sure. Yep. So we've received, on the first CARES Act, we received just over $40 million. The second stimulus, I think we got just over 15, maybe 15.7. And then the one recently that just came out, we got another 15. Now, the clarification is that's for PACO. So we at the DRPA for bridges didn't receive any of that stimulus money as a toll agency, right? We're still working with our elected officials to try to get in line the best we can to get some of that funding. But we've utilized that funding that we received to subsidize some of the PACO losses that we've experienced through 2020 and continue to experience, right? That's a big hit. Again, as Chairwoman Parker said, we were at very close to record highs at PACO. We were seeing numbers that we haven't seen since the 90s on PACO ridership, weekends included, pre-COVID, and then we went down to 7% of that ridership. So we're back up to just over 20, but that's a big hit revenue-wise, and we're using that federal funding to subsidize that. As far as the infrastructure bill, I follow it very closely, of course. For that $3 trillion, and we have a department that government relations department and a grants department that focuses on that very legislation and continue to work with our elected officials to keep us in line for the grants that we do get. As it was, in my presentation, I mentioned about $15 million. So they continually are looking for opportunities for us. And I work very closely with them. We have a list of shovel-ready projects. And I also foresee that the Glassboro-Camden line, maybe you'll also candidate, right?
I would expect so. Yeah.
If the opportunity presented itself, we're going to put that project in line for some federal funding as well, which we believe is a great investment for this region.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and the entire region is benefiting from all of the work that you're doing. You take a look at Camden, you take a look across the whole South Jersey region, a gateway into Philadelphia. The work that you, Mike, and the rest of your staff and the entire DRPA is doing to make it easier to move back and forth from Philadelphia, and soon make it back and forth to move from Camden to Glassboro is just great news for the entire region. So many good things are happening, and I couldn't be happier to have you on the program here today. So thank you very much. We are going to wrap it up now, but before we do, I want to say thank you. Thank you, first of all, to Mike Venuto for being here today. It was terrific meeting the new chairwoman of the DRPA, Sherelle Parker. She is a ball of fire and a terrific passion and terrific energy. I also want to say thank you to Amanda Del Bene, our Alliance for Action Vice Chair and the co-chair of the Inside Scoop series, for being here today and doing such a great job introducing Chairwoman Parker. We'll go through. I also want to say thank you to the staff. I'm talking about Chris Hartman, talking about Bill Healy, Lynn Schwalge, Penny Grasso, and Athena Xenios. Terrific work by all of them, making today possible and making the Alliance for Action flourish over the past few years. Thank you for all of your help. I would go to war with you. It's a terrific staff. So let me say thank you to our sponsors, AECOM, Imagine It Delivered, Armand Corporation, delivering your vision is our main focus. Clarion, a WBE, SBE, DBE firm specializing in program and project management, construction management, consulting, and data analytics, providing services for everything from concept to closeout. GPI, a nationally recognized engineering firm that has been working to better our communities by providing high-quality engineering and construction services for over 50 years. Infinite Consulting Corporation, your success is our success. Together, we are safely building tomorrow. M&J Engineering, innovative and state-of-the-art solutions. The Nyack Group, proven by the past, positioned for the future. For over 20 years, we've built a strong foundation of talent and have risen to deliver design and construction solutions for our clients. Parsons, our New York, New Jersey professionals work every day to transform the landscape and improve mobility in the region. PSE&G, we make things work for you. Raymond James Public Finance, helping raise capital to fund New Jersey's infrastructure needs. Well, I want to say thank you for all of you for being here. This wraps up a busy month of March for the Alliance for Action. We had 5 meetings this month with about 1,000 people in attendance in all between all 5 events. So thank you so much for being here. I do want to point out that we have several events coming up in April. On April 15th, we'll be welcoming John Keller, the Executive Director of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, and Rob Fisher, who is the Chief Engineer of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority. They're going to be speaking about their 5-year rolling capital program, which was approved last year. A lot of work by a lot of people in this room getting their $24 billion 10-year capital program approved. And John and Rob are going to be here to speak about those first 5 years, which is a rolling capital plan. They'll add another year on each year as we go through. We have on April 19th, Jerry Zarrow, who is a trustee of the Gateway Development Corporation, will be here to speak about the future of the Gateway Tunnel project. That's when you add it all up, all the programs together, that could be as much as a $30 billion project. It's really, the Gateway Tunnel project is really the most important infrastructure in all of the country, not just here in New Jersey, not just on the East Coast, in all of the country. The good news is that Washington seems to be very much in favor of it now, so we're hoping to see that move forward. And then wrapping up April, on April 29th, we have the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey Chief Engineer Jim Starace, and also the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey Chief of Major Capital Plans, that's Steve Plate. They'll each be here to outline the upcoming infrastructure improvements at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. So we have a lot of events coming up, a lot more coming up in May, June, July, and throughout the rest of the year. You can count on us to continue getting all of the information out to you about what upcoming projects you should keep your eye out for, and also helping you make the correct contacts to make sure you get a piece of the action. So with that, I want to say one more time, thank you for all of you for being here. I'm Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. We'll see you next time.